So we got the carb off of it. She is basically all the fenders and everything. I pulled the gas tank off just because I was slow coming out with that carburetor, and wanted just to make sure everything was out of the way. But basically, as soon as if you're not familiar with pulling a carb off on any of the 450 engines, this is the last piece. So once you break open that, loosen up that clamp there, get everything out of your way, we can pull it out. This right here, this throttle cable right here, and these two connectors, this one and this one, are the only thing that's holding that carburetor in. So I popped everything off, loosened that screw, and then lastly I took that throttle cable off. And I mean, it's pretty simple, guys. Don't be afraid to get to this point. I mean, but either way, let me show you this carb real quick. All right, so guys, real quick before I crack into this, it's very important to do one or two things. First off, if you're not familiar with these carburetors, maybe take a picture of both sides. That way you can see the way the hoses are routed. I mean, it's all pretty self-explanatory, but this particular carburetor, you can get yourself in a bind if you just start diving into it and you're not, you know, kind of keeping memory of which screws go where. And also, anytime you dive into a carb, it's always a good idea to go really slow, even if you're super familiar with the carburetor. You don't want to tear any gaskets or anything like that, especially if you don't have like a carb, like a rebuild on the kit, so carburetor rebuild kit. I don't. I'm just pulling it apart, and I'm going through with carburetor cleaner. All the ports, all the jets, everything's going to get a nice, good, flushed out. And other than that, just kind of take your time with these, and just remember where everything goes and how the hoses are routed. And yeah, it's a pretty simple process, but the slower you go at this point, I think the better the job will end up turning out, and you're not going to worry about having to, you know, go on eBay or wherever and purchase, you know, parts because you lost it or tore something or whatever. So I'll stop the clip, I'll get it busted open, and I will show you guys, you know, the clean out and everything there. Alright, so I wanted to film this part of it, so as you can tell I got the bowl loose. What I'm going to do is I drew a line right there in the center of that fuel to air screw. This is an aftermarket fuel to air screw, but I drew a straight up line so I can count. I haven't turned it at all, so I'm counting how many turns. I'm going to go all the way in with it. I'm going to count how many turns, and that'll tell me where it was set previously. So let's turn it. Going in. See that straight line there? That's half a turn. Whole turn. 1.5. It's right at 1.5. That's tight. Just a little over 1.5. So now you can back it all the way out. Pull off the bolt, and you know that it needs to be set back to 1.5. And then of course you can adjust it, but this just gives you an idea so it doesn't run like shit when you put it back together. Alright, so you'll write that down. If you can't remember at 1.5, pull the air screw out. Sorry, trying to do this with one hand. And then, like I said, slowly pull that bowl off to expose. Oh, it actually looks really good. Cool. I'm gonna go through it with the carb cleaner. I'm gonna pull off the other side vacuums and everything else that goes on this carb, and go through it, and then we'll be able to tell if it needs to be rejetted or if this gets rid of it. Guys, so basically we found our culprit. I mean, typically anytime you do any type of carb clean out or you know, just adjustments to the carb, if you're still getting a bog, man, just crack it open, because typically this pilot jet right here is going to be clogged. So I can try to show you. This is the main jet, okay? So the main jet, you look up through the light, you see a nice clear hole through it. Okay, great. Pilot jet, on the other hand, you can barely see the light of day out of it. I mean, it is just packed full of crud. So what we're going to do is just spray that out with some Carb and choke cleaner. Use the little red stick, it comes in handy. We'll go through that. We'll go through all the orifices of the carburetor. And yeah, this should clean it up for sure. So pretty excited that that was the case. That way, at least we're going to clean it up a little bit. I mean, as far as the bog's concerned. But yeah, I'm going to take that jet out as well. I'm going to clean out all the orifices, everything, even the exterior. Pull the choke out. Pair of channel locks, you can just grip around that. It spins right out. Clean out the whole thing, get it back together, set my fuel to air ratio screw at 1.5, and throw it back on. Alright, so guys, I'll show you really quick the difference. So I just went through it one time with the carb cleaner. Let's take a look at that port now. So do you see the difference? I mean, you couldn't see through it at all, and now it's crystal clear. So go through the rest of it, get it back together, and that should clean up that low end bog that we're having. Alright guys, so I've went through the whole thing. I am putting the jets back in now, and wanted to let you guys know, if I hit this gasket, you can see it in this cup right here. I hit this gasket with a little bit of carb cleaner, and it'll actually cause it to warp and swell. A little trick is just to get a glass of cold water and throw it back in there, and it'll pull back to its regular size. So I don't know, that could help you out if you guys can't get this gasket to seat back down right. It's better just to take it off before you start cleaning it. I was rushing through it and overlooked that step. May or may not help you. We're going to keep rolling here and get it back on the quad. So she is nowhere near finished. We do have it back together just to see, the difference in the carb being cleaned out and what it was going to do as far as getting rid of that low end bog I was telling you about. And it did. Honestly, it's not totally gone. So I could probably go with like a repair kit for the carb, and go in with all new little seals and O-rings and everything. That would probably help. The little vacuum pump on the side and everything. Like, I'm not really sure that's gonna get it on this quad though, and it's really not bad enough. I'm not racing this thing every weekend or anything, and I don't think the next owner is going to be racing it every weekend, but I'm pretty particular about how I want it to sound and feel, and it's just not quite there yet. But instead of spending any more time on the carb, because I got it pretty close to where I want it as far as where it's at, I might take a look, get it at top dead center, and just take a look at the valves and see what type of clearances I'm working with. And yeah, I'm still waiting on the motor oil to come in. So I get like the AMSOIL ATV 10W40. I get that a few cases at a time, so I'm waiting on the cases to arrive, and then I'm going to flush the motor oil and the entire motor, just flush it out and get some good oil in it, and make sure there's no water in the oil. As far as the coolant, I did drain that, and I just got distilled water in it right now. I'm just running it through the motor. I'm about to flush that out again, and then I am going in with the AMSOIL coolant. And yeah, but I mean, it fires right up, sounds pretty good. Final day on the quad, so we are pulling it all back apart as far as the plastics. So I'm taking the rear plastics, I'm going to swap those off. The radiator shrouds, those pieces came in. I'm taking all the graphics off. Got a heat gun to heat them down, and then I'm popping off the front wheels, and I am going to sand them down a little bit. And then hit them with a coat of Seymour, maybe a couple coats of Seymour flat black, and kind of bring just a solid black color back out of it because they're all scratched up. We did decide that we are the oil drip here. I just pressure washed the whole thing. I'm gonna flush the fluids one last time, and we're gonna see if the leak stays. It's pretty persistent. Like, it'll leak down about half the reservoir. So if it keeps that up, I'm gonna probably ride it tomorrow. If it keeps that up and it's leaking, then we're just gonna pull the front sprocket off, and we are going to replace the countershaft seal. So I already got the seal just in case. It's like 20 bucks. So if we have to do that, we'll definitely get that on video. But other than that, today's just cosmetics, and I'll let you take a look when it's finished. So graphic kit's off. Rear fender's off, radiator shrouds are off. Here is the new rear fenders and then the new shrouds. And let's see, here's the old ones. And then right here you can see I got the graphic kit. So once I open that up, we'll put that on and everything, and I'll let you guys see what it looks like after she's totally done. As it's time for the graphic kit, we've prepped all the plastics. I just take some paint thinner, and I actually just kind of dilute it a little bit. Just going with paint thinner on this actually takes off the clear film or the clear coat that's on the plastic. So I didn't have to do it on the brand new ones, but I really just took paint thinner and tried to clean up the existing white plastics as much as possible, because I didn't replace these. These are in pretty good shape, but the paint thinner will take off any old any of the old glue from the pre-existing graphics that were on it. So I mean, if you're okay with it losing a little bit of its shine, kind of a diluted paint thinner works great. And then what I do with the graphics is I actually hold them up to some type of heat source, and it'll make them real easy. You can see it starting to bend around my hand like that. It'll make it really easy to work the graphics. If you have a heat gun, and you might have to do some trimming and stuff, but at the end of the day, heat's your best friend with the graphic kit. So we'll get these on and then show you what it looks like. All right, guys, so it is complete. We got the rear fenders on. I got the graphic kit on. We did end up replacing the countershaft seal. That leak was just bothering me. It's just a little too persistent. So we definitely got that taken care of. Everything's really solid on the quad. Your rear axle, bearings, everything's nice and tight. Sprockets tight, disc brakes tight. Your upper and lower A-arm, all the bushings there, tie rod. Everything's in really good shape. The thing rides really solid. It's a super quick quad, guys. I'm gonna probably put it on the website for around 35, maybe 3,600. Start at 36, but I'm gonna be pretty firm at like 3,500, guys, on this one. It's definitely worth it. It came out really nice, and fun as hell to drive. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Check out our website, mudlinemotorsports.com, and you'll see that it's posted there, and give us a call if you're interested. All right.